Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Colombia is often pictured as a land of stunning beaches, world-renowned coffee, and vibrant cities like Bogotá and Medellín. Its modern image is one of progress, culture, and breathtaking natural beauty. However, beneath the surface lies a land shaped by an extraordinary past, where ancient civilizations thrived long before European contact. The story of Colombia's ancient past begins thousands of years ago when the first inhabitants settled in the region. Archaeological evidence suggests that humans lived in Colombia as early as 12,000 years ago, adapting to the country's diverse environments, from the Andean highlands to the Amazon rainforest. These early groups were hunter-gatherers, but over time they developed agriculture, built complex societies, and established trade networks that connected different regions of South America. One of the most advanced pre-Columbian civilizations in Colombia was the Muisca Confederation. The Muisca occupied the highlands of present-day Cundinamarca and Boyacá and developed a sophisticated society known for its impressive political organization, trade, and religious traditions. They were master artisans, particularly skilled in goldsmithing, creating stunning artifacts that became central to the famous legend of El Dorado. This legend, which spoke of a ritual where a golden-clad ruler would dive into the sacred waters of Lake Guatavita, captivated Spanish explorers, fueling their relentless search for unimaginable wealth. Another remarkable civilization was the Tairona, who lived in the jungle-covered mountains of the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta. Unlike the Muisca, the Tairona built impressive stone cities, with Ciudad Perdida, the Lost City, being their most famous settlement. This ancient metropolis, constructed around 800 CE, centuries before Machu Picchu, was a vast network of stone terraces, roads, and ceremonial structures, all hidden deep within the rainforest. The Tairona were skilled architects and traders, exchanging goods with neighboring societies along the Caribbean coast and inland regions. To the north, along the coastal plains, the Zenu culture flourished. The Zenu were exceptional engineers, known for creating an extensive system of canals and dikes to control flooding and irrigate their farmlands. Their expertise in hydraulic engineering allowed them to thrive in an otherwise difficult environment. Like the Muisca, the Zenu were also master goldsmiths, producing intricate jewelry and ceremonial artifacts that remain among the finest examples of pre-Columbian metalwork. Further south, in what is now the Valle del Cauca and Nariño regions, the Quimbaya civilization emerged. The Quimbaya were particularly renowned for their gold craftsmanship, creating some of the most famous artifacts of pre-Columbian Colombia, including the Quimbaya treasure, a collection of highly detailed gold figurines and vessels. Their metallurgical skills were so advanced that they were able to create hollow gold sculptures using techniques still not fully understood today. In the vast Amazon rainforest, numerous indigenous groups developed unique ways of life, adapting to the challenges of the dense jungle. These cultures, though smaller in scale compared to the Muisca or Tairona, had a deep understanding of the environment, using medicinal plants, complex hunting techniques, and sustainable agricultural practices that continue to be relevant today. By the time the Spanish arrived in the early 16th century, Colombia was a land of thriving civilizations, each with its own distinct culture, economy, and traditions. The first contact with Europeans came in 1499, when Spanish explorers led by Alonso de Ojeda reached the Caribbean coast. The Spanish were drawn by tales of vast riches, particularly the legend of El Dorado, and soon began their conquest of the indigenous peoples. The Muisca resisted fiercely, with leaders like Tiscasusa and Sajipa fighting against the Spanish invasion. However, like many indigenous societies across the Americas, they were devastated by European diseases such as smallpox, which wiped out large portions of their population before direct conflict even began. The Zenu also resisted, launching revolts against Spanish rule, but they too were ultimately subdued. Despite colonization, indigenous influences remain deeply embedded in Colombian culture today. Many modern Colombians have indigenous ancestry, and native traditions, languages, and craftsmanship continue to survive. Sites like Ciudad Perdida and Lake Guatavita stand as reminders of Colombia's rich pre-Columbian past, drawing archaeologists and historians eager to uncover more about these ancient civilizations. Colombia's history is one of resilience, innovation, and diversity. From the highland confederations of the Muisca to the lost cities of the Tairona, the country's indigenous heritage continues to shape its identity, proving that Colombia is more than just a land of coffee and beaches. It is a land of ancient wonders waiting to be rediscovered. Colombia's diverse landscapes have played a crucial role in shaping its history. From the towering peaks of the Andes to the lush Amazon, rainforest, and the vast plains of the Orinoco, the country's geography has fostered a wide range of cultures and ways of life. This diversity is reflected in the indigenous societies that once inhabited the region, each adapting to their unique environments in remarkable ways, creating civilizations that thrived long before European contact. The Andean highlands were home to one of Colombia's most sophisticated pre-Columbian societies, the Muisca Confederation. Unlike the great stone cities of the Inca in Peru or the Maya in Central America, the Muisca built their settlements primarily with wood and thatch, making their archaeological footprint less visible today. However, their cultural achievements were immense. They had a highly organized government, ruled by two main leaders, the Zipa in Bogotá, modern-day Bogotá, and the Zoc in Hunza, present-day Tunja. Their society was based on a barter economy, trading salt, emeralds, textiles, and ceramics with neighboring groups. One of the Muisca's most famous contributions to history is the legend of El Dorado, which described a ritual in which a newly crowned leader would cover himself in gold dust and offer treasures to the gods by throwing them into Lake Guatavita. This ceremony, misunderstood by European explorers, fueled Spanish myths of a golden city hidden in the Andes. The Muisca were also exceptional goldsmiths, crafting intricate figurines, masks, and jewelry, many of which survive today as some of the finest examples of pre-Columbian metalwork. Moving north toward the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta, the Tairona civilization flourished. Unlike the Muisca, the Tairona built their settlements using stone, creating Ciudad Perdida, the Lost City, an advanced urban center constructed around 800 CE, centuries before Machu Picchu. This city, hidden deep in the jungle, consisted of terraces, ceremonial plazas, and an extensive network of stone-paved roads and staircases. The Tairona were skilled engineers, farmers, and artisans, producing elaborate ceramic and gold artifacts that reflected their spiritual beliefs. Their descendants, the Kogi, Arhuaco, and Wiwa peoples, still inhabit the region today, preserving many of their ancestors' traditions. In the lowland regions and coastal plains, the Zenu culture dominated the landscape with one of the most impressive feats of hydraulic engineering in pre-Columbian America. They developed an intricate network of canals and drainage systems to control seasonal floods and irrigate their fields. This innovation allowed them to farm vast areas, producing maize, cotton, and other crops that supported a thriving civilization. The Zenu were also master goldsmiths, famous for their filigree-style gold work, which showcased extraordinary craftsmanship and attention to detail. Despite their ingenuity, the arrival of the Spanish in the early 16th century led to the collapse of their society, though their legacy lives on in modern Colombia's jewelry traditions. In the southwestern regions, the Quimbaya civilization emerged, known primarily for their exquisite gold artifacts. The Quimbaya treasure, a collection of golden figurines and ceremonial objects, showcases the high level of skill these people had in metallurgy. Their sculptures of seated figures, often referred to as poporos, are among the most iconic relics of pre-Columbian Colombia. Further south, in the Valle del Cauca and Nariño, the Tumaco and Pasto cultures developed unique artistic traditions, particularly in ceramics and goldwork. The Tumaco were known for their incredibly detailed gold figurines, which depicted human and animal forms with remarkable realism, while the Pasto created elaborate polychrome ceramics with intricate geometric designs. In the vast Amazon rainforest, countless indigenous groups developed lifestyles that harmonized with the jungle. Unlike the large centralized societies of the Andes, Amazonian cultures were often organized into smaller, semi-nomadic communities. They cultivated cassava, hunted, and fished, using their deep knowledge of the forest to survive. Their oral traditions, spiritual beliefs, and sustainable agricultural techniques continue to influence modern conservation efforts in Colombia. By the time the Spanish arrived in 1499, led by Alonso de Ojeda, they encountered a land filled with riches, advanced societies, and strong resistance. The Spanish conquest was brutal, marked by violence, disease, and forced labor. The Muisca, despite their sophisticated political system, were unable to withstand the Spanish invasion, as smallpox and other European diseases decimated their population before direct conflict even began. The Zenu and Tairona also resisted fiercely, but were ultimately subdued by the 16th century. However, despite colonization, the legacy of these ancient civilizations remains deeply embedded in Colombia's culture today. Indigenous communities across the country continue to preserve their languages, traditions, and craftsmanship. Archaeological discoveries like Ciudad Perdida, San Agustin's mysterious stone statues, and the gold artifacts housed in Bogotá's Gold Museum provide a window into the ingenuity and diversity of Colombia's pre-Columbian past. Colombia's history is a testament to the resilience of its people, both past and present. Its landscapes have shaped civilizations for thousands of years, fostering cultures as diverse as its geography. Today, as archaeologists uncover more about these ancient societies, Colombia's pre-Columbian history continues to captivate the our world, revealing a land that was never just one of gold and conquest, but one of ingenuity, adaptation, and deep cultural heritage. Long before the Spanish arrived, Colombia was home to highly sophisticated civilizations. One of the most famous was the Muisca, an advanced society that controlled vast territories in the Andean highlands. Known for their elaborate gold work and complex political structures, the Muisca played a central role in the legend of El Dorado, where a gilded ruler would plunge into a sacred lake as part of a ritual. Their society was highly organized, with a strong emphasis on trade, agriculture, and religion. The Muisca Confederation was one of the most powerful indigenous polities in pre-Columbian Colombia, spanning the present-day departments of Cundinamarca and Boyacá. Unlike the Inca, who ruled a centralized empire, the Muisca were organized into a loose confederation of small chiefdoms, each led by a ruler known as a cacique. The two most powerful leaders were the Zipa of Bogotá, modern Bogotá, and the Zac of Hunza, modern Tunja. These leaders governed vast regions, controlled trade routes, and oversaw religious and political ceremonies that reinforced their authority. One of the most enduring Muisca traditions was the ceremony of El Dorado, which took place at Lake Guatavita. According to Spanish chroniclers, when a new Zipa was crowned, he would cover himself in gold dust and aboard a ceremonial raft, sail to the center of the lake. There he would make offerings of gold, emeralds, and other valuables to the gods by throwing them into the water. This ritual symbolized the ruler's divine connection and solidified his legitimacy. The Spanish, hearing tales of immense wealth hidden beneath the lake, attempted multiple times to drain it in search of treasure. Though some artifacts were recovered, the full extent of the offerings remains unknown, fueling the enduring myth of El Dorado. The Muisca were expert goldsmiths, producing intricately crafted figurines, masks, and ceremonial objects. Their most famous artifact, the Muisca raft, is a gold votive figure depicting the El Dorado ritual, discovered in the 20th century. This piece, now housed in Bogotá's Gold Museum, stands as a testament to the Muisca's artistic and metallurgical expertise. Beyond their gold work, the Muisca had a thriving economy based on agriculture and trade. They cultivated maize, potatoes, quinoa, and coca, utilizing advanced farming techniques such as terracing and irrigation. Their territory was rich in salt deposits, which they processed and traded with neighboring civilizations. Salt was so valuable that it became a form of currency, used to acquire goods like cotton textiles from the Zenu, gold from the Quimbaya, and exotic feathers from the Amazon. Religiously, the Muisca had a deeply spiritual worldview centered around nature. And astronomy? They worshipped deities like Bochica, the civilizing god who taught them laws and agriculture, and Chia, the moon goddess. Their priests, known as jeques, played a crucial role in society, overseeing rituals and maintaining sacred temples, such as those dedicated to the sun god Sue. The Muisca also constructed astronomical observatories, like the stone columns of El Infiernito, which they used to track celestial movements and determine the agricultural calendar. Despite their resilience, the Muisca were among the first indigenous societies in Colombia to fall to the Spanish conquest. When Gonzalo Jiménez de Quesada led an expedition into their territory in 1537, he encountered a civilization weakened by internal conflict. The Spanish took advantage of this division, capturing the last independent Zipa Tiscasusa, and later, executing his successor, Sajapa. European diseases such as smallpox devastated the population, reducing their numbers dramatically. Although the Spanish dismantled their political structures, Muisca heritage remains deeply ingrained in Colombian identity. Many modern towns and cities, including Bogotá, Tunja, and Sogamoso, were founded on the sites of ancient Muisca settlements. Indigenous traditions, languages, and craftsmanship have endured, and today, Muisca descendants continue to fight for the preservation of their cultural heritage. Archaeological discoveries in sites like Lake Guatavita and El Infiernido provide a glimpse into their once flourishing civilization. The Muisca were not just a people of gold. They were master traders, astronomers, engineers, and spiritual leaders whose legacy continues to shape Colombia's rich history. Their story is one of resilience, innovation, and mystery, proving that their civilization was far more than just the myth of El Dorado. It was a land of wisdom and wonder, hidden in the heart of the Andes. In the north, the Tairona people built impressive stone cities in the jungle-covered Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta, one of the world's highest coastal mountain ranges. Their advanced engineering allowed them to construct intricate terraces, roads, and irrigation systems, creating a civilization that still leaves archaeologists in awe today. The ruins of Ciudad Perdida, or the Lost City, remain one of the greatest archaeological discoveries in South America, predating even Machu Picchu by at least 650 years. The Tairona civilization, which flourished between 200 CE and 1600 CE, was composed of several independent but interconnected communities that lived in the mountainous regions near the Caribbean coast. Unlike the Muisca, who thrived in the high-altitude plateaus of the Andes, the Tairona adapted to the rugged terrain of the Sierra Nevada, where they built a network of stone-paved roads, staircases, and terraced platforms that integrated seamlessly with the dense jungle. These cities were strategically designed to withstand heavy rainfall, landslides, and the natural challenges of living in such an extreme environment. At the heart of their civilization was Ciudad Perdida, also known by its indigenous name Tairona. This ancient city, built around 800 CE, was a thriving center of Tairona culture. Covering an area of more than 30 hectares, Ciudad Perdida consists of circular stone terraces, ceremonial plazas, and a complex road system that linked it to other settlements. Accessing the city requires climbing nearly 1,200 stone steps, which remain remarkably intact after centuries of abandonment. Unlike many other pre-Columbian societies, the Tairona did not build their cities in easily accessible areas. Instead, they constructed their settlements in the mountains, hidden by dense vegetation, possibly as a defensive measure against rival groups. This remote location helped preserve Ciudad Perdida for centuries until it was rediscovered in 1972 by looters who plundered gold and ceramics before archaeologists intervened. Today, it is recognized as one of Colombia's most significant archaeological sites. The Tairona were not only master builders but also skilled artisans and traders. They crafted intricate gold jewelry, masks, and figurines, using advanced goldsmithing, techniques similar to those of the Muisca and Zenu. Their work often featured depictions of animals, shamans, and divine beings, reflecting their deep spiritual beliefs. Some of their finest artifacts, such as gold pendants known as paporos, can be seen in Bogotá's Gold Museum. Trade was another crucial aspect of Tairona society. They exchanged quartz, salt, cotton, and fish with other indigenous groups across the region, including the Muisca and Amazonian tribes. Their settlements were connected by an extensive network of stone roads and bridges, allowing for efficient movement of goods and people. Like many indigenous civilizations in Colombia, the Tairona faced devastation with the arrival of the Spanish in the 16th century. The first Spanish incursions into their territory occurred in the 1520s, led by Rodrigo de Bastidas. The Tairona fiercely resisted Spanish rule, engaging in prolonged conflicts against colonial forces. Unlike the Muisca, who were politically centralized and thus easier to conquer, the Tairona were a decentralized network of chiefdoms, making them harder to subdue. Their knowledge of the mountainous terrain allowed them to retreat and wage guerrilla-style warfare, delaying Spanish control over their lands. However, the Spanish ultimately succeeded by destroying key settlements and forcing the Tairona into submission. Many survivors fled deeper into the Sierra Nevada, where their descendants, the Kogi, Arhuaco, Wiwa, and Kankwamo peoples still live today. These indigenous communities have preserved many aspects of their ancestors' culture, including their spiritual traditions and environmental practices. The Zenu, who inhabited the lowlands, were masters of hydraulic engineering. They created an extensive network of canals to control floods and irrigate their fields, allowing their civilization to flourish despite the challenging environment. They were also renowned for their exquisite goldwork, producing some of the finest artifacts ever discovered in Colombia. In the Amazon, smaller yet equally fascinating indigenous groups thrived, developing unique ways of life adapted to the rainforest. Their traditions, languages, and spiritual beliefs continue to influence Colombian culture today. When the Spanish arrived in the early 16th century, they encountered a land rich in gold, culture, and resistance. Indigenous societies fought fiercely against the conquistadors, with figures like the Muisca leader Tiscasusa and the Zenu warriors resisting colonial rule. Despite these efforts, European diseases, warfare, and forced labor devastated the white native populations. However, the legacy of these ancient civilizations remains deeply embedded in Colombia's identity. Their languages, traditions, and craftsmanship persist among indigenous communities, and their influence can be seen in the art, music, and folklore of modern Colombia. Archaeological discoveries continue to shed light on their achievements, revealing a past as diverse and complex as the land itself. Colombia is more than just a country of beautiful landscapes and vibrant cities. It is a land of contrasts, where the echoes of ancient civilizations still resonate beneath the surface, waiting to be explored. Thank you for watching this video.